wanted to kick things off with Black women's mental health in the 80s and 90s. So, mommy, you're a boomer on the edge of being a boomer in Gen X.
Yeah.
So, I would love for you just to tell me about like what was going on in the 80s and 90s. Where were Black women at? What were some of the things that they were experiencing? And kind of what was the conversation around mental health at that time?
Okay. So, really, from what I really recall, is there really wasn't a lot of discussion um, openly about mental health. Um, there was more quiet, even in a family setting. People really didn't label things that were going on as mental health. Terminology would be used as that person is off. Something's off with that person. So my experience was that it really wasn't talked about in public settings that we see now. It wasn't necessarily embraced as something that was part of your wellness, just like how you get a physical to make sure that you're well and get everything checked out. Mental health was not even discussed from a health perspective as being something that you should be conscious of, making sure that you were well in.
And what were some of like the challenges that Black women were facing that could impact their mental health in the 80s and 90s?
In that time period, I know just being a fairly married, young mother, also entering into the workforce and beginning to build a career. During that period, I was also in the Army Reserve. So there was a lot for me to balance. And I saw a lot of the women, especially like in my reserve unit, balancing the same things. There were single moms. So I would say those were some of the struggles. Some, of course, the single moms, they were the main breadwinner. And a lot of times the conversations would be, around, I'm coming to drill, but I have to get back, because I got to pick up my kids from my mother who's keeping them, and or sometimes going to work. I myself, a lot of times, would go to my reserve duty, get off, and go to work in a retail store, and then be back up at the same morning. So there was a lot um, that I think were